My name is Nick Zegowitz, and today I'll be covering Karen Tintori's Trapped, the 1909 Cherry Mine disaster. The town of Cherry was established in north-central Illinois, about a 2-hour drive southwest of Chicago. The St. Paul Coal Company invested approximately $200,000 in the development of the mine and the surrounding town. According to construction calculators on measuringworth.com, the relative cost of the same investment today would be valued at approximately $45,110,000. Construction began in 1904 and mining operation began in 1905. Great efforts were made to make the mine one of the safest and most modern facilities across the country. Unlike most mines, Cherry Mine strung electric lights to the furthest reaches of their tunnels. The tower above the main shaft was also made with steel, the foundations were laid with concrete, and the engine, boiler, and fan houses were all made with brick and stone rather than wood. The builders ironically declared the mine fireproof. These facilities were created to mine one of the richest and highest quality coal veins in the region. The vast amount available allowed mining operations to continue year-round, unlike most mines that close for the summer months. On its first day of operation, the mine produced 400 tons of high-quality coal. Once it reached full operation, it averaged an output of 1,500 tons daily. The image to the right of the slide portrays the general layout of the central part of the mine. The primary mine shaft on the left-hand side only traveled between the surface and the second level. There is also a new emergency lift installed recently before the fire that ran between the third and second floors, but it was so new at the time that most miners didn't know about it. The second shaft on the right of the image was topped by the fan house and served as the main circulation throughout the mine. It also ran a lift between the second and third levels. Additionally, it hosted a ladder escape between the second and third floor and a stair escape from the second level to the surface. There is also an additional stairwell that ran between the second and third levels, located centrally between the two shafts. The first level was found to have poor quality coal and thus blocked with tarps on both sides to allow the air to push past to the deeper levels. The second level was where most of the miners worked and had tunnels that trailed for miles away from the shafts. The third level housed the stables where the cart mules were housed, a marshy mine sump at the base of the secondary shaft that served as a source of water, and additional mine tunnels. Mining was very difficult and dangerous work. Many immigrants and miners from across the United States were drawn to Cherry for its promise of consistent work and modern construction. Most immigrants working in the mines were from many European countries, while the most populous of the groups included the Italians and Slavs. Not all of the workers in the mine understood English, so a lot of communication was nonverbal or translated by those that could. Though Illinois law set the working age at 18, most mining companies did not enforce it. Positions ranged from miners, rockmen, timbermen, cagers, trackmen, safeties, trappers, and slate pickers. Miners earned an average of $2.50 a day, about $45 today, depending on their output, while others learned a lower set rate each day. By the time of the fire, nearly 500 men earned their living working in and supporting the mine. The fire began around 1:25 p.m. on Saturday, November 13, 1909. The electric lines feeding the lights in the tunnels had been out for weeks, and so backup kerosene lamps were in use to provide light. The afternoon hay cart had been left unattended beneath a lamp, and it's believed flaming oil had dripped below and started the blaze. Multiple miners had passed shortly after the hay first caught, but they considered the fire so inconsequential they took no action. When the cart's driver returned, he moved the cart down the tunnel towards the second lift to move it to the third level to put out the fire by pumping water from the sump at the bottom of the shaft. However, it got stuck in the entrance to the lift and could not be moved. Fed by oxygen coming down the shaft, the fire quickly spread to the timbers of the tunnels and grew out of control. Runners began to spread word to other miners to evacuate, as there was no alarm system present in the tunnels. Meanwhile, the fan house operator reversed the fan to try to smother the flames, but only managed to pull the fire up the shaft, destroying the escape stairway, fan house, and pulling oxygen away from the miners that desperately needed it. The tunnels quickly filled with smoke and deadly fumes they called the black damp. Multiple attempts were made over the following days to go into the mines. However, many were halted by the fire reigniting or other complications. Finally, on November 20th, a rescue team found 8 surviving miners who had made a final attempt to escape via the main lift. After bringing them to the surface, the survivors directed the rescue team to 9 North on the second level, where they had left others that had sought shelter with them from the fire and gas. They were located and brought to the surface. One of the survivors succumbed to asthma complications the next day, but the other 20 were the only men to emerge and survive after the first day of the blaze. The fire continued in pockets of the mine, hampering recovery efforts. The mine shafts were eventually capped with cement on November 25th and were not removed until the following February. Approximately 220 men were able to escape the fire, but a total of 259 men perished in the blaze in the weeks following it. This fire at Cherry resulted in the 3rd deadliest coal disaster to date and the worst in the state of Illinois. The Cherry Mine disaster gained national attention and led to several changes at both the state and federal level. The Illinois legislature created the Mine Rescue Station Commission, which provided special training for mine rescue teams and established rescue centers throughout the state to provide quick response when required. Mines were also now required to maintain firefighting equipment on scene and provide better safety training to safeties and workers at large. The federal government created the U.S. Bureau of Mines in 1910, 3 years after it was recommended by President Roosevelt and the year following the Cherry Mine disaster. It also increased the discussion in favor of a federal child labor law, eventually being passed in 1916. Karen Tintori collected a vast amount of primary source material, and it really showed in her book. She inserted extracts from letters from miners and their memoirs in such a way that did not feel forced and kept the reader engaged throughout. During the initial start of the fire, Miss Tintori included as many accounts from survivors as she had collected. This made it difficult at times to keep the timeline straight, as multiple stories happened concurrently, but the rest of the book had a very natural flow. Thank you for watching my presentation. Here are the references that I used for this presentation. Have a great day.